I'm Rosanna Cardenas, one of the lecturers attached to the Caribbean Nazarene College, Santa Cruz in Trinidad and Tobago. If you are watching this video, this is one of my classes intended to go towards the course Health and Wellness, HW302. As you continue looking on, I want you to keep an open mind and remember that your health is your wealth. However, if we want to be considered persons who do well in society, we have to look beyond just the biological factors or the physiological factors. Today's lesson looks at sex, sexuality, human intimacy, and sexually transmitted infections. It's more than just boy meets girl, boy likes girl. What are some of the factors that influence attraction? What are some of the things that keep people in a relationship? And what are some of the complications that can arise or the biological or chemical processes that occur during intercourse? And of course, once we're talking about intercourse, we can't leave out the impact that sexually transmitted infections can have on the human body. So, without further ado, continue on to learn more about sex, science, and you. Our first topic for today is attraction. What causes one person to be attracted to another person? On the same hand, what causes persons to be attracted to people of the opposite sex or very different? Or what causes people to be attracted to persons of the same sex? As you all know, this has been a source of debate in the world for a number of years, and depending on the different region or area you come from and your history, you would have different perspectives on it. So let's look at some of the key factors that influence attraction. Number one, in terms of our physical or their physiological factors that determine attraction. So let's look at the video and see, let's discuss that and then discuss the impact that the MHC has on attraction.
We like to think of romantic feelings as spontaneous and indescribable things that come from the heart. But it's actually your brain running a complex series of calculations within a matter of seconds that's responsible for determining attraction. Doesn't sound quite as poetic, does it? But just because the calculations are happening in your brain doesn't mean those warm, fuzzy feelings are all in your head. In fact, all 5 of your senses play a role, each able to vote for or veto a budding attraction. The eyes are the first components in attraction. Many visual beauty standards vary between cultures and eras, and signs of youth, fertility, and good health, such as long, lustrous hair or smooth, scar-free skin, are almost always in demand because they're associated with reproductive fitness. And when the eyes spot something they like, our instinct is to move closer so the other senses can investigate. The nose's contribution to romance is more than noticing perfume or cologne. It's able to pick up on natural chemical signals known as pheromones. These not only convey important physical or genetic information about their source, but are able to activate a physiological or behavioral response in the recipient. In one study, a group of women at different points in their ovulation cycles wore the same t-shirts for 3 nights. After male volunteers were randomly assigned to smell either one of the worn shirts or a new unworn one, saliva samples showed an increase in testosterone in those who had smelled a shirt worn by an ovulating woman. Such a testosterone boost may give a man the nudge to pursue a woman he might not have otherwise noticed. A woman's nose is particularly attuned to MHC molecules, which are used to fight disease. In this case, opposites attract. When a study asked women to smell t-shirts that had been worn by different men, they preferred the odors of those whose MHC molecules differed from theirs. This makes sense. Genes that result in a greater variety of immunities may give offspring a major survival advantage. Our ears also determine attraction. Men prefer females with high-pitched, breathy voices and wide formant spacing, correlated with smaller body size, while women prefer low-pitched voices with a narrow formant spacing that suggest a larger body size. And not surprisingly, touch turns out to be crucial for romance. In this experiment, not realizing the study had begun, participants were asked to briefly hold the coffee, either hot or iced. Later, the participants read a story about a hypothetical person and were asked to rate their personality. Those who had held the hot cup of coffee perceived the person in the story as happier, more social, more generous, and better natured than those who had held the cup of iced coffee, who rated the person as cold, stoic, and unaffectionate. If a potential mate has managed to pass all these tests, there is still one more: the infamous first kiss, a rich and complex exchange of tactile and chemical cues, such as the smell of one's breath and the taste of their mouth. This magical moment is so critical that a majority of men and women have reported losing their attraction to someone after a bad first kiss. Once attraction is confirmed, your bloodstream is flooded with norepinephrine, activating your fight or flight system. Your heart beats faster, your pupils dilate, and your body releases glucose for additional energy, not because you're in danger, but because your body is telling you that something important is happening. To help you focus, norepinephrine creates a sort of tunnel vision, blocking out surrounding distractions, possibly even warping your sense of time and enhancing your memory. This might explain why people never forget their first kiss. The idea of so much of our attraction being influenced by chemicals and evolutionary biology may seem cold and scientific rather than romantic, but the next time you see someone you like, try to appreciate how your entire body is playing matchmaker to decide if that beautiful stranger is right for you.
So as we saw in that video, our physiological makeup has a lot to do with is one of the major factors in attraction. And I was reading an article, and it was saying that in persons who have same-sex attraction, there is a variance in the how their body or their sense of smell on the genetic level, whereas in persons who are attracted to the opposite sex, they are attracted to the smell on a subconscious level of the MHCs of the opposite sex. In persons who have same sex attraction, they are not attracted to persons on a physiological level of the opposite sex. And so I assume that that is what gave rise to the argument that persons who are gay are born gay. And I will of course share my own opinion on that. I believe that that is non-consequential, but we can discuss that face to face on another day. For other reference, if you could also check out Jackie, I think it's Jackie Hill Perry or Jackie Perry. I can't remember her name right now. I'll verify it, but I am more of inclined to believe her perspective on gay lifestyles and how one should respond as a Christian. Right, so you could always look her up if you want some additional references. But back to the main topic at hand. So as the video would have shown, on a physiological level, we are attracted to people based on genetic makeup, right? So sometimes we may think, well, there's the obvious physical attraction in terms of the beauty, the aspects of beauty, but as you know, these are often culturally affected. And so, whereas in one country, for example, a man may be considered to be more attractive if he is muscular, broad. In other countries, if he is slender, tall, it may seem more attractive. So there's no one set rule when it comes to just the physical appearances. But the point that I want to make when it comes to attraction is that the idea is that even on a genetic level, attraction occurs. And the key thing even in terms of what we are physically attracted to with our eyes. The key thing is attraction being based on the body's interpretation of increasing the chances of survival for its genetic makeup and for offspring. So oftentimes when it comes to the on the genetic level, opposites tend to attract because the body interprets that as a way of improving or increasing the chances of survival for the genetic code. The other key factor that influences attraction is the proximity. It's obvious persons who spend a lot of time together, who frequent the same space often naturally will tend to be attracted to each other. And similarly, no pun intended, persons who have a sense of similarity with each other. Now, remember, while the saying says that opposites attract, that tends to occur more on a biological level. It's the reason why the average couple, the things that would have attracted them to the other person in the initial honeymoon stage of the relationship, when they get on deeper into the relationship, into the other phases, those same things that attracted them in the earlies tend to be the same things that annoy them. But you see, when it comes to similarity, persons psychologically tend to be attracted to people of similar character and similar social standing, right? So it's one of the reasons why I think, even though they have and you can correct me if I'm wrong, when we look at Aladdin and with Princess Jasmine, his relationship with Princess Jasmine, they came from two different worlds altogether. And it's probably one of the reasons why they've never done a sequel on the two. Because even though they were very different, it would be interesting to see how their life plays out in the palace with him being from the streets, right? Reciprocity, that is also another factor that influences attraction, where the idea is that I like the people who like me. We hear the term kindness shown equals kindness given. And it's the idea that often people tend to be attracted to persons who um, basically give them the same amount of energy that they give. This idea of reciprocity. And conversely, persons tend to lose interest or are turned off by people who don't necessarily make the same contributions or put the same effort and don't show the same kindness that they show. And it's a common term I'm hearing a lot among I generation, that's your early 20-year-old persons and the millennials. Um, and I think it could be one of the reasons that gives rise to the, only look for people who look for you, and the great dislike for haters and people who give up on friendships because, as far as they're concerned, it's a one-sided relationship, right? So those are the four key factors that influence attraction. On a physiological level, when it comes to proximity, you're just spending a lot of time with an individual. Similarity, and when it comes to character, social standing as well. It's the reason why people tend to marry people within their circles or tend to marry people of the same racial background um, in most cases, and reciprocity. Now, why it's helpful for us to bear this in mind, even when we are, if you're not in a relationship yet, when you're pursuing your relationships, and also even if you are married, understand that attraction to other people can occur. Um, that's where commitment comes in. But by understanding what can cause attraction for those of us who are married or are in committed relationships, it helps give perspective. Because sometimes attraction can be acknowledged and pursued if we are not wise. And sometimes when you see attraction occurring, it can be ignored. And personally, this has been understanding these four factors has been very helpful for me. Helpful in terms of me being able to shoot down emotions, inappropriate emotions that may threaten to come into the space. And this is not so much since I've been married, but before, and determining, choosing a partner. I've understood that, hey, sometimes, I use the term loosely and say it's not real feelings, it's just gas. But sometimes, really, we feel like we're attracted to people. For those of you who are in church and have been to camp, you'd notice that there's always a lot of relationships that pop up out of camp, and that is, yes, proximity after frequenting the same space all the time, and you would have found that you have some similarities in the same faith, or different interests. If you spend time together on a same team, it's one of the reasons why a lot of affairs that occur with people in the same work environment. Again, the issue of proximity, right? Added to all of this, I want to give this cautionary note on arousal and attraction. Sometimes you have to consider what happens when a person is aroused. When we talk about arousal, we're not talking about sexual arousal in this particular case, but arousal in the general sense, which is the release of adrenaline. So there have been a couple studies, well, that support the correlation between adrenaline increase and an increase in the level of attraction. So basically, when adrenaline spikes, and this could occur from either a near death experience, it could occur after sports, you go for a run, or if there's a surprise or shock, your adrenaline level would increase. And so sometimes, when that occurs, people tend to be attracted to the people who they interact with either in the short space of time after that spike in adrenaline. If for those of you who know, in most action movies, there's always the love interest. And after she is saved, all of a sudden she would see the hero in a new light, in the case where she may not have been attracted to him before, right? And so, even though it's a movie, there is a biological explanation for it. And so, we also have to be cautious of these. If these occur, or you have a life threatening experience, or you feel your adrenaline spike, you're more likely to be attracted to the people you interact with in the short term after. It's one of the reasons why people who are in life threatening jobs on a regular basis, let's say people, well, we call them the servicemen, tend to get into relationships with people within the field, because these people, well, they say they understand, but another reason is that when you are constantly living in a state of adrenaline attraction to, whether you're in a whether you're gay, straight, whatever, you tend to be easily attracted to other people. And so understand, however, that this feeling is sometimes temporary. And if you do get in a relationship, a committed relationship with someone, because of attraction caused by this factor, just the adrenaline spike, you would have to put in other energies in order to sustain this feeling.